good day, beautiful people. Welcome back to POV Politics, your go-to source for unfiltered political news coverage. You're hanging with your host, Shay, and today we're diving into another breaking news story. But as usual, you know I don't consider breaking news. It's old news, tired news. I'm over this news. But anyways, this one's coming out of Wisconsin. There's some serious questions and concerns about immigration, law enforcement, and basically just the rule of law. I mean, as simple as that. This one's about Judge Hannah Dugan, a Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge that was in there since about 2016. Before becoming a judge, she worked extensively in public defense and with organizations that focus on civil rights and legal aid. Up until now, there really wasn't or hasn't been any public controversy or any formal complaints tied to her record. She seems to be respected within her community. But of course, because we live in Trump season now, her reputation is put on the test. Judge Dugan was arrested by the FBI, accused of obstructing a federal immigration operations inside of her own courtroom. So, as always, I'm here to show you my POV, and I hope you do the same. Let's check out these clips and see how this unfolds.
First, we have breaking news as we come on the air at 11. A Milwaukee County judge just arrested by the FBI. 12 News' Hannah Hilliard is live at the federal courthouse in Milwaukee. And Hannah, the FBI director says Judge Hannah Dugan obstructed ICE officers.
Right, Mallory, and happening right now, we actually have a group of the judge's supporters gathering outside of the federal courthouse. As we know, just within the last hour, Judge Hannah Dugan did appear in front of a judge here inside of the federal courthouse. She is facing 2 federal counts, one of concealing a person from discovery and arrest, and one of obstruction of pending proceedings of the federal government. Now, this all stems back to an incident at the Milwaukee County Courthouse a week ago. FBI Director Kash Patel saying Judge Hannah Dugan misdirected ICE agents when they were there to make an arrest. According to a law enforcement source, ICE agents were waiting outside her courtroom last Friday for a man making a court appearance, but Dugan allegedly shielded that man to avoid ICE detention. Director Patel confirming the arrest in a now deleted post on X this morning. He says, quote, the FBI arrested Judge Hannah Dugan out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin on charges of obstruction after evidence of Judge Dugan obstructing an immigration arrest operation last week. We believe Judge Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse. Eduardo Flores Ruiz allowing the subject, an illegal alien, to evade arrest.
So I'm just going to say it. That picture of Kash Patel makes him look like he's constipated. Like he's been holding that in for about 2 days, and he took that picture. And I don't understand why they continue to use the same picture. Maybe because they know that it looks funny. But anyways, this is not a small matter, right? She's facing 2 federal charges. One concealing a person from discovery of arrest. The other one was obstructing impending federal proceedings. The allegations are saying that Judge Dugan used a secure door that was meant to protect jurors to allegedly sneak the defendant past waiting ICE agents. They also said that the defendant was facing 3, I believe, misdemeanor charges related to domestic violence. And so with that being said, this really isn't about paperwork. This is more, to me, I feel, about public safety. And if this is true, right, if it is true, it raises some real questions about the separation of power and the duties of immigration enforcement. And so, anyways, let's check out the next clip and see where this is going.
Late breaking, I know you were just running in here after checking court paperwork. What do we know about this arrest and this judge?
That's right. So Judge Hannah Dugan is the person who's been arrested here, facing 2 counts. The court paperwork was just unsealed. Obstructing or impeding a proceeding before a department or agency of the United States and concealing an individual to prevent his discovery and arrest. And what they allege here in the course of the complaint that's been filed by the FBI agent who is running this investigation is that essentially this judge used the jury door. So that's the door that the jury comes in and out of the courtroom. It allows the jury to come in and out of the courtroom and be able to move through non-public areas. So that protects them. But it's also a way for other court staff to move through. And apparently she was involved in this case, at least according to the information that the federal prosecutors and the FBI has alleged here in the course of their investigation. She moved this individual who's wanted by ICE, for which there was an active and a arrest warrant for, to be removed from the United States, moved him through the jury door, allowing him to effectively evade ICE agents. This individual was facing criminal charges, 3 misdemeanor counts related to physical assault. And so that's why they were in the courthouse in the first place. Obviously, this has caught a lot of attention here this morning, but this is a case that's still moving forward.
A couple more questions here, Tom, because I know obviously you're literally reading these unsealed documents for us, but do we know if there's any relationship between the judge and the suspect? What would have motivated her to do this? How unusual it is for her? And how would the arresting agents know that she used this door? Were there ICE agents there waiting, and then they realized, okay, this guy was somehow transported, we couldn't get to him? You know, I'm just wondering what triggered the actual arrest.
Awesome question. So with respect to the individual, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, there's no indication that we have from any of our reporting that the judge knew this individual. I do want to be specific on the charges. It's 3 misdemeanor counts. He's 31 years old, domestic abuse and infliction of physical pain or injury. This incident allegedly occurred on March 12th of this year. With respect to the question you just asked, which is, how would the investigating agents that led to this arrest today know what happened? Well, they say, according to the court documents that have been filed, that multiple witnesses they spoke to described what the judge did, described even some of the conversations that the judge was having, even conversations the judge was having with counsel and the judge was having with court security staff. Those are the allegations. It appears that on that date, they certainly became aware that this individual was able to get out of the courtroom and to avoid the arrest. Subsequently, they developed information as far as how that actually happened.
Do we know if the judge is being held in jail, or is this an arrest and a release until the arraignment?
So that's information we're still waiting to get to from the courts in Milwaukee. I would suspect, though, given the specific charges, what we've typically seen in the past is the judge would be allowed out either on their own recognizance or with a limited bail.
Now, based on everything that's been reported so far, there's no indication that Judge Dugan personally knew the defendant. Witnesses included court staff, tipped off investigators about what happened, and conversations were overheard where the judge allegedly coordinated the exit plan. Now, this wasn't speculation. It was built on multiple witness accounts, allegedly. And remember, federal agents don't just arrest a sitting judge lightly. There would need to be, I would think, a significant amount of paper trail or witnesses to support it, right? At this point, she has not been convicted, but if these charges are true, it's a serious breach and it needs to be investigated. There's a bigger debate here, right? One that's very real. Should immigration enforcement happen inside of courthouses? Does fear of ICE make witnesses and victims less likely to participate in the legal system? Those are the questions that I have. Community leaders argue that aggressive immigration actions in court make cities less safe, that victims of crime, especially immigrants, won't come forward if they fear deportation. And honestly, there's truth to that, I believe. If victims and witnesses disappear because they're scared, justice doesn't get served for anyone. But here's the other side. Judges are supposed to uphold the law, not decide which law they personally agree with. If Judge Dugan disagreed with ICE's policy, there were legal and ethical channels she could have went through. Sneaking someone out the back door, if proven, that's not how a judge should behave, no matter what your politics are. This story is still developing, as we know. Judge Dugan, like anyone else, deserves her day in court, but if this is a powerful reminder when a judge who was supposed to be neutral that steps into activism during their official duties to serve this nation, it can erode the trust in a system that they've sworn to protect. Thank you for spending time with me. It's Shay from POV Politics. Remember to love instead of hate, and always get your facts straight. See you soon.